The year was 2011, and it seemed as though the call for suicide intervention was at an all-time high. People were calling, texting, and inboxing me regarding their concern about the end of times about to happen on December 12th, 2012. It was during this time that we realized we had a community of teachers, healers, coaches, and spiritual guides that could support teaching people how to ground themselves spiritually. Masterforce, along with the Masterforce International Leadership Academy, is excited to be able to steadily present this work to you at no cost to you. However, all of our speakers donate their time, energy, and attention to this process, and they only do this at the thought of contributing to the upliftment and empowerment of our community. When we launched our very first Ignite Your Soul connection for the winter solstice of 2012, the producer was Leela Woodward and the facilitator was Janice Bond. As the executive producer, my role was to create the topics, round up speakers for 15 nights, generate the questions, and design the platform. We were all delighted with the outcome. However, since that time, we have continued to produce these episodes at the winter and summer solstice inside of a 6-night discussion segment. You can find these previous episodes on YouTube under the same name, Ignite Your Soul Connection. Now sit back and enjoy tonight's discussion. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for being here for our final episode of Ignite Your Soul Connection. It has been an amazing week, and I am delighted that we all got through it, and we're now on episode number 6. I want to actually acknowledge that the intro and the outro that you have been seeing in each of these episodes were created by our very own Master Force coach, Marshawn Frencha. Marshawn Frencha is one of our youngest coaches. He actually took my course when he was 17, and now he's 25, and just a great resource to many of us, and also to his community and the people that he serves. So thank you, Marshawn. And this is day number 3 of the solstice. I don't know about you, but today I laid down and I listened to music. I listened to my soul. I wrote in my journal. I chilled. I slept. It was a day of solitude. I hope you're enjoying this energy and allowing yourself to be soothed by the universe. All right? So tonight we have our special coaches in, our final set of special coaches. I know you are like, everybody's a special coach to you. Yes, they are. The universe always gives us the people in our life that we require to help us grow, to help us to see ourselves. So I get to see myself in all of these coaches, and I get to use it for my own growth and development as well. So we always start off with the senior most coach, and that is my niece. And I know she'd be like, Auntie, don't do that, but I am. My niece, Aretha Alanda. Will you please introduce yourself and tell people why you became a Master Force coach and what it is that you do?
All right. I'm sure everyone knows too. I have a sense of humor, and she used my government name, my whole entire name. It's Alanda Gregory.
That's for the peoples, right?
We are live and we're in public. Anyway,
Oh,
hello everyone. Hello everyone. This is Alanda Gregory, as she said, her niece. I have been doing this work with her for a very long time, even when we thought she was being weird. It was we didn't understand it. So, and I can say I had a deep appreciation for it because in 2011, when I was going through things, 2010, 2011, this when it work became important, and because of what we had started doing, the other program and landmark and all that kind of stuff led me to this and having an understanding of what was going on and what I was going through. So hello everybody.
Hello, and thank you for being here. And thank you for supporting me, even though you felt I was being weird, whatever.
No, it's but I love you though. It's a good weird because look, now I'm the weird one.
That's right. Exactly. And then we have one of my longtime friends that we actually, I don't know, we were work buddies or met through a work buddy, but many years ago. Sylvia, why
Mm.
don't you come in and introduce yourself and let people know what had you become a Master Force coach and what you do as well?
I am Sylvia Seals, and I've not even been a Master Force life coach for a year yet.
Ooh.
2022 is my year. I want to say it's been since February when I got my official certificate. And of course, the universe have known for years that I should be amongst this path. Like Moot said, I've been knowing her for a very long time through one of your mutual work friends, and have been introduced to Master Force in the creation of Master Force, and just didn't latch on at the time. And as time went on, as I grew, as I came into understanding myself and my purpose, I called Moot so excited, like last year, was like, I got it. I know it. This is what I need to do. And she was like, okay, just waiting on you. So figured the light will go off. And a part of it is me just in my healing journey, and realizing that if I too am going through I too didn't realize that I could truly be here and be free and be okay with me and who I am, then how many others are like that, right? And because of that, that's why I wanted to take this journey and move forward, because I'm realizing that a part of my calling is to make sure that others wake up and understand and realize their purpose and their calling, and that it's okay.
It's okay. That's it, right? We actually like to be the example of the work and real and authentic, good, bad, and ugly. We're not out here trying to perpetrate and whatever. It's really like this is
Mhm.
it. This is what
This
real
is
life
it.
is. And we live life. We don't pretend that life, right?
Absolutely, it's
Absolutely.
harder to pretend.
Well, unless you don't know, people don't.
Well, yeah, that's true. When you realize that, it's like, yeah, it's harder to pretend. And a lot
Exactly.
of times our problems is because we're pretending and don't even
Yeah.
realize it.
And don't even realize it. And we don't know ourselves. So, how do we know, right? So,
Absolutely.
we have been talking all week about home as a haven. We've had amazing conversations starting on Sunday night, and now we're at Friday. And we want to actually, look at all of the information that we've gathered this week and bring it into what is it to be at home or have a haven in our body and our home. What
Mhm.
does that look like? And we identified on Sunday that a haven is a safe place, secure, sacred, anointed, right? So, my first question to you is what do people mean when they say be at home in your body? How would you be at home in your body?
You want to go first?
Um, it, it took me actually some time to be at home in my body. I honestly think that my journey to and through Master Force has helped me become at home in my body. Being at home in your body for me is being comfortable with who you are at all times, regardless of where you are and what's happening. So just being comfortable in the skin you're in, whether that's your weight, whether that's the color of your skin, whether that's the way that you talk or the way you feel people will perceive you. It's all of those things, just being comfortable with who you are. And no matter where you go, being able to just be that comfortable being and accepting yourself. So
Yes, that's right. And it's a very powerful place to be. What would you add to that, Alanda?
I would add to it, your body, you have to look at it as just like your home. It's not just safe, you have to protect it like you protect your home. Um, and so when you can go anywhere, and be protected and know that you're protected, you're safe. And so your body has to, you resonate that. So we learned about you're a mirror, and we are mirroring the safety. Like, you know what I mean? So if I feel safe and secure, other people can feel safe and secure, which is kind of why we get a lot of people with certain things happening to them, because we're healers. I won't happen to them, but things that happen by us being healers, we draw in people
Oh yeah.
that are, you know what I mean? So we're kind of like a walking hospital almost, depends on
Oh
where.
no.
Well, no, seriously, no, I'm serious, like a walking, like a place of care. You know what I mean? I say hospital because that's what people understand out that's out there listening.
But yeah, and you're right. It's so funny because I can be standing on a bus stop with other people, and someone will pass everybody else and come right to me and ask me a question. Do you know where such and such? And I'm thinking, you know, but it always happens. It always
Yes,
happens. Yeah. So
yes,
that's right.
and
Absolutely. And something that came up for me, Alanda, when you were talking is you mentioned like mirror. And
mhm,
that's a huge part of feeling at home in your body is
yeah,
understanding those things that may not be so like look so cute or come off so great about yourself, and being able to understand that's who I am, and understanding how when things happen, oh, that may trigger me to do this. So because of that, I'm going to still stay who I am, but I'm not going to allow that to move me in any type of way that I wouldn't want it to, because I know I am loved and who I am. So just being comfortable with all sides of who you are and recognizing
yes,
it. Like
yes, yes.
I got some sides of me.
And you can't be, and you know what? And when people are looking at you, you don't look the same to everybody. So you have to be who you are all anyway,
Yeah.
because there are people that see different versions of you depending on who they are. So
Yep.
we can be all the light in the world, but we can irritate somebody that was like, why is she always smiling? You know what I mean? So we have this thing that I'm okay with who I am right now. No,
Hmm.
like before we
Ashe.
got on, this is the solstice week. We got married on the solstice. So this whole week I've been resting. Have not left my house.
Hmm.
So I have been preparing just to be inside of, staying in the conversation of home and how and house and how am I feeling. And listening to your body, you know, if you hear something strange in your house, what you gonna do? You're gonna get up and investigate it. Your body, the same thing. Like yesterday, and I was feeling a certain type. Oh, I feel heavy. And as soon as I say, okay, body, I feel heavy. What's going on? I could tell you I was up. I could not go to bed until 2 o'clock. I'm not going to tell you really why. My body just is like, okay, let's get rid of all this that you saying that you feel heavy. And just that quick, I'm like, I
We
didn't
can
really
fix that.
right. Like my body was like, okay. So it's really the same thing when you're investigating, trying to see what's instead of having other people watch out for your body, you're doing it yourself. So you can kind of know what's
Mhm.
going on with yourself. Even when you go to the doctor, you can kind of verbalize or articulate, hey, I'm feeling this. Is what you know what I mean? So it's whatever the case may be, it is still that you feeling home with yourself, right? You feeling home. This is me. This is my safe space. I am my safe space.
It's so funny because you are all, I think both of you know, I was deeply tested with this. I think it was 2016 when I fell and knocked out my front teeth. And I still had to function, and I still had to do Ignite Your Soul Connection. I still had to take clients. I still had to teach classes. And it was the hardest thing for me to do. And I was so committed to the work. And
Would have never known.
yeah,
I've always said like she's so brave. You went on trips.
yeah, oh yeah, I did
Like you
everything.
lived fully
Yeah, for 2 years.
nonstop.
For 2 years because
Absolutely.
the surgery they wanted to do, the 20 grand that they wanted, all of that was inside of patience and time, patience and time. And I said, okay, but I still have these responsibilities, you know.
Hmm.
And I also had a commitment to not live inside of my vanity, you know, and that, sometimes we can be so vain that we won't do anything if it's not perfect or if it doesn't
Hmm.
look,
Hmm.
so that was my deepest grounding, Like, okay, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do anyway,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah. Wow.
So, we have the work and we know how to do that. How would you tell someone else how to connect themselves, how to feel at home? How do we get them to actually have a homely connection? What would some of the things we tell them to do?
I will say, and this is one of the things I'm going to use as myself as an example. When I was temporarily homeless after leaving, no, departing from my first husband, and when that happened, I had to find peace in myself, right? Myself, and how did I do that? How can I find peace within myself? And what did I do? Well, I had Auntie Rita, but also but I had a sounding board. I had a place where I can start from. How do you connect? First of all, silence connects you, right?
Yes.
Even when you don't want to hear the voices in your head, because sometimes the voices are making sense, right? Even when you overthinking, you can sort that out. But how you connect? Meditating, being quiet, because first and foremost, that's how you start. You start with that. You start with it being quiet.
Hmm.
And that's, to me, that's one thing. I would say I would go with that, and I won't say anything else, but that's one thing I would say, quiet. And if you cannot find a quiet space, because I stayed with other people, I left the house to find a quiet. We lived by the lakefront. You go by the lake, go somewhere quiet, library, somewhere, just be quiet. And that's how, to me, that's how you can connect. That's my number one. That's how to connect.
Hmm. What would you add to that, Sylvia?
Just staying in the whole idea of connection, what literally just came up for me is grounding and practicing grounding so that you can connect with who you are and truly understand what you need in order to like be at peace with self. Because it's one thing to say, hey, get quiet and go be at peace, but how do I achieve these things and where is it coming from? It's truly coming from your higher self. So if you take the time to ground, like Landa said, go out in nature, connect with Mother Earth, like and be one and take that time, you'll get the downloads needed to know, okay, I need to move like this and I need to move like that. And this is what it's being called for me to do in this time. So it's truly about taking time for self. And once you get there, then you'll probably be more open to the things that, as Alanda say, Auntie Rita done schooled us all on. And you can have your like your grounding stones, your stones to help calm you. There's different tools and resources out there that you can use to get you back to your place. Like music
Yeah.
helps me get there in my place. If there's something going on, if I'm agitated, I'm in the office and I'm not feeling like myself, I'm allowing outside circumstances to impact who I truly am. It's like, let me put on some beautiful chorus, and listen to some chanting music to remind me, like, come back, bring back the peace.
That's great. That's great. And that's so important because a lot of times we think that something outside of us could do it. People, they go, let me get a joint, let me get a drink, let me get some food, when actually everything that you all mentioned was you taking responsibility for yourself, being self contained is probably the most important thing of being at home, knowing that you can do it and nothing outside of you, has to be used. You can choose those other things for other pleasures, but for grounding yourself and being at home, silence and meditation and being still and just owning who you are, allowing the downloads, using the music, trusting the space and trusting yourself. Those are all really great.
Yes.
But then there are times when people get upset, they're disappointed, they're lonely, and those things that you just mentioned may not work. You know,
True.
what are some of the other things? What else can they do? I'm upset. I've been, yeah, right.
Well, I could say during the time, right before I started the online master force, I was one of your first Master Force online participants.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a dark place, even though we did, and I'm glad you said that because I was going to go there next. I was at a place that even when I got upset and angry, I was trying to disconnect from that first person.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at the brink of suicide. I
Mm-hmm.
was in a play. Everything was going okay. Everything was going well. And I was right. I was going to I know how this all can stop because all my other attempts failed. I was going to jump in front of a train.
Mm.
And I was in the subway and everything. Everything was happening and I was going to leap, right? And right when I was, of course, I had to be, I ain't gonna say being dramatic, but I was gonna text everybody like, hey, I love you guys, blah, blah. Right before I was doing that, I picked up the phone, had everything sitting on the side of me on the bench. And I picked up the phone and my daughter, youngest daughter, said, Mommy, I can't wait to see you later.
Ooh.
I just like felt I just like cried, like passed out crying. I'm like, people were like, "Wonder, are you okay?" And I'm thinking to myself, in a few minutes, you would have been mad at me because I would have stopped all the traffic. That was the first thing I thought
Not
about.
funny, but right.
I'm like, y'all would have been mad at me right now. So yes, I'm okay. So when you do not have that time, you have to really like. At that moment I had divine intervention, right? But I also had dark humor.
Mm.
I had to literally think about my decisions like what have I gone through? I have to ask myself, what has been worse than this? What's worse than this and I got through? So that was on me. That's I had to ask myself these questions. Now, if I'm someone that do not know how to ask these questions and I'm upset, the best thing to do is a distraction. People said distractions are bad. You need an immediate distraction,
Mm.
immediate distractions, because if you do not know how to get quiet or go do this, you need an immediate distraction because that little distraction, that little whatever, puts you on a path of something else. And you have to be led. And even when you don't even realize you're being led, you're being led. The universe knows how to get you into
Oh
back
yeah.
into space. So how do you do it? You need a distraction. Like I like, okay, I can't be quiet right now. I'm really upset. Get yourself out and go walking. Go
Mm.
to the store, even if you're going to get a bottle or going to get some weed, get out because you know what? Something along that path is going to stop you. So I'm
Mm.
saying this in a divine intervention manner that something you know that you're trying to find some peace and you mad as heck, right? You just all these things happening. What you need to do is just go be mad. Because I had another time when I was gonna go, I had a hammer in my hand. And I was ready to go and get somebody with my hammer because I was
Oh my
walking the street.
goodness. No hammers.
I had a hammer. I was ready to go get this person. This is not too long ago, about 3 years ago. I was gonna go get him. And right when I was going to do it, first of all, they weren't where they were. And then my little dog didn't want to walk around the corner. My dog's like, absolutely not. Where we going? She'd never stopped. This in the summertime. She's like, no, we're not going around there. And she would not move. That at that moment, that's what I'm saying. So I didn't even meditate at that. You know what I'm saying? This is recent. Not gonna say recent, but 3, 4 years ago. I
Mm.
didn't even, I was mad and I went walking. And on that path right then and there, something took me away from that. And my dog was like, we're not doing that. Nope. And so that to me, your action can still take you into another place, if that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, in the distraction. So actually allowing yourself, like I'm gonna go and hit
Yeah.
somebody with this hammer, but the dog was like, no, we're not. We're not
Yeah.
doing that right now. You know, and you
Right.
can't the thing about a dog, yeah, you can't make them unless you're gonna just pick them up because they can get very
Yeah.
stubborn. Hmm.
Absolutely. Especially in this cold. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sylvia, what would you add to that about when you're
Um,
upset and lonely and disappointed and
there's a couple things like directly from chorus breathe to center, being able to pause and capture your breaths. That's a technique that we use in order to bring us back to center, to bring us back focus.
yeah.
um Another thing is something that I've been using more lately is Bach flower remedies.
Ooh,
Bach
yeah,
flower remedies is very much so about,
man.
yes,
Keep
rescue
mine.
remedies.
And
I
my
had to,
walnut, keep my walnut right there. I'd be like, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Thank you.
absolutely. My larch
Mhm.
is
Mm-hmm.
is downstairs, but being able to treat those feelings, and by flower remedy is all about like that feeling and what's happening, to be able to flip that emotion into a more positive one. So being able to have those go-tos, whether it's breathe to center, whether it's, Bach flower remedy. There's one that's specifically for things that's outside of your control. If you're in an environment where you have no choice but to be there, but it's outside of your control, you can take that remedy so that those outside circumstances are not impacting you, because it comes back to your emotions and your feelings and basically how you're responding to it. So having your go to be able to say, hey, I'm going to do this because I feel this coming, or ahead of time before this started, I took rescue remedy because I get nervous sometimes talking, you
Yes.
know. So it's like I gotta talk tonight. This is my night. I watch every night and it's been going on. Let me get a little bit of this, get a little bit of this nervousness out of me, rest up, get some rescue going, and just knowing it all goes back to really knowing self, because sometimes you have, like how Alanda was saying earlier, hospitals, and how you get your medical insurance. I just re-enrolled for my insurance next year, and of course we get preventative, right? You always get the preventative health is what they give you. Well, if you connect to self enough, you know what your preventatives are.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you don't need them saying that you get, paying this monthly, you get this preventative, come and get checked out once a year. You could check yourself out daily. My preventative is every morning when I get up, I meditate.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's a part of my preventative. Then I come on and get on the treadmill so I can feel good about how my body looks. Then
Mm,
I'm putting the right thing in my body.
that's right.
Then I'm reading or listening to a book while I'm on the treadmill, feeding my mental so that those thoughts are where they need to be, so that when the outside world is attacking me and I'm starting to feel like I'm not at home, yes, I am. Because this morning I
Right.
listened to Louise Hayes and she reminded me that the power comes from within. This morning I listened to this chanting music and I said my affirmations. So it's being able to to truly know who you are so that you can provide your own preventative medicine,
That's
and
right.
then also have your things when you can't prevent it or it's in shock. And in those moments it's like, come back to self. What am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Alanda just said go for a walk
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
that's yeah,
that
that's what I'm saying about the distraction.
right.
Sometimes a distraction takes you away and then like it brings you back. Cause even TV, even if you like, you know what, I'm tripping. Let me sit down. Let me see what's on. Let me just watch something right quick, or let me turn on YouTube. Let me catch up with something. And then it would take your, not taking your mind off anything, but it's putting you back into your space. And see, then when you're talking to people that don't understand the work, like Moot was saying, what if calming down, like I was coaching my grandson, we on FaceTime, and he coming there steaming mad. And I told her, I said, you know how this works. Tell him to breathe. Take 10. He didn't want to take 10 breaths. He didn't want to breathe 10 times. He didn't want to do it. And so he had his fist balled up. I said, let your hands go. So even coaching through that, when you want to feel mad, you want to be mad. And what do you do? Okay, you want to be mad, but then you have to cut, like you said, like like you said, Sylvia, like you can't just calm down, count, breathe the center. And if you all do not understand the breathe, we can give you all that information. We gladly coach y'all through that.
That yeah, we love Breathe the Sinner. Here's a question.
Absolutely.
There's a question a viewer asked, is ashwagandha good? Absolutely. I just told one of my clients today to please get some B complex and ashwagandha.
Mm,
Yes, very good for homeostasis and
mhm.
balancing your nerves. We have gotten too used to allowing stress to rule our world. We act like stress is a norm. It is not, it's a choice. And we have got to stop using stress to actually govern how we participate in life,
Mm.
because it is a number one killer. If you allow stress to be the way you operate, then all other disease can come into you.
Yep.
So, yes, ashwagandha is excellent.
I gotta
Excellent.
write that down.
Yeah.
I
And of course, breathing to center, it's probably has been mentioned every night this week because that's the first class. You have to know how to balance your energy with your breath at all times through all situations.
Mm.
And breathe to center is the bottom level. There's so many other breaths to learn, so when we teach you, we give you the beginning, but you still have to continue to evolve into levels so that you become, the sage into yourself and also into your family,
Mhm.
right? So I think you guys have already answered my next question about, when you're at home within yourself, how does that influence others around you? you know you if you want to tap on that some more, but you kind of mentioned it, but how does that influence others when you are actually at home yourself?
Well, I've always, and then never realized I've done it. I always I go be to myself. I know if I'm in a whatever, well, mood or whatever, I go to be with myself. 'Cause I know what it's like growing up when someone's in a bad mood and put everybody on eggshells, right? And
Hmm.
I think I learned how to balance it because then I had internalized or drew back so much that I was holding things in. I didn't understand what was the difference. So I would hold it in because I didn't want to upset anybody because I grew up with it like me acting up upset everybody in the house. Everybody walk on eggshells. So when I am disappointed, like I just said, like I go for a walk, uh, lonely, when I sat one and when everybody I thought left me, I think I was at your house.
Hmm.
Everybody was gone that night. And I remember going and I remember finally realizing I couldn't get out the house. I couldn't go kick it or whatever. I was at home. Nothing was going on. It was quiet around me. And you know what I did? It was the first time I was 41, 42 that I grieved my mother that had died in 1982.
Wow.
I had not grieved her until I was 42. As you know how you think put in your mind, you're never gonna see them again. Oh, they just gone. They're gone. They're not really. But when you actually realize that it's absence and abandonment, to me at that moment of that loneliness, I actually had to sit with that to process that. So I learned how to process emotion by being disappointed and lonely because I had to really find out where is this coming from
Hmm.
and why and what made me why do I how do I know this is making me feel this way? And
Mhm.
that's what I know. Like, we went through this going through the steps like the Marv, the Marv technique.
Hmm.
So that's I learned how to do it that I do it with that. I deal Marv when I go through these things.
And so that's really interesting because I think you were what, 12 when your mom died?
13.
13.
Mhm.
All right. And so that many years later, and that comes from two, that's why it's so important to be around people that can assist you in processing what you're going through. And some families don't use communication like that, and it's so important. And I know that one of the things that I did for my children, I surrounded them around other mothers and fathers and uncles that they could talk to, even if they couldn't talk to me. It's important for you to do that for your children because that's a long time to hold grief.
Yeah.
That's a very long time. And, from a child. And, the thing about 40, though, is the universe says to us, oh, let me open up your sixth sense. At sixth sense, at 40, your sixth sense come in. So if you have
Mhm.
not begun doing any spiritual work, at 40, the universe steps in and say, okay, listen, we're going to wake you up a little bit.
Mhm.
So you begin facing some special challenges that have you really ground yourself in God. Let me say this: our production this week, God is my bodyguard. That's our sponsor, godismybodyguard.com, because we have to learn to rely on our internal, right, higher self, connected to the universe, connected to source,
Mhm.
connected to God. So yeah, Aretha, that's very interesting that took you that long, but that's a lesson.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. My friend told me a couple of years ago that she said, "You haven't grieved your mother." And I'm like, "What you talking about?" "Yes, I have. I was crying when she died." "Yes, I have." I'm like, "Yes, I have." I'm thinking like, "What are you talking about?" But being alone with no one around me,
Yeah, made you feel it.
And I was like, "Oh my god," and I just boohooed like she just passed that day, right? And I'm like, "Oh my god, I miss my mother." And I just started crying like she's never coming back. And so I'm like, "Oh my god." And then all that, I mean, it was like hours of me
Yeah.
going through this, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, that was
Very
groundbreaking.
healing. It was very
It
healing, if
was.
nothing
It
else.
was.
Yeah, they
It
got a
really
lot
was.
out. What would you
Mhm.
add to that, Sylvia?
Um, I was actually gonna, I think, address it from another end.
Mhm.
How you were saying, how does being at home within ourselves influence others around us?
Mhm.
Um, and actually, it really depends on how that other perceives it. It can be a positive influence because others will feel comfortable being who they are, if you're comfortable with who you are. But sometimes people get uncomfortable when you're comfortable.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
And like they get uncomfortable with you being comfortable with who you are. And it's like, but this who I am. If you still got things you need to work on you, that's all right. It's okay to disagree, but there I shouldn't make you uncomfortable because this is who I am and this is who I choose to be. Um, so it can go either or. It can being knowing yourself and knowing who you are for the most part. If if you're out here and you're connected to higher self, it's gonna cause a positive influence, especially if that person is ready for growth. But if you're around any energies who are not ready, who don't understand mirror work, who don't understand the dark shadow,
Mhm.
they're gonna see things and things are gonna come up, and it's gonna be like, oh, okay, I'm not comfortable with the fact that you're so comfortable with who you are. And it's like, well, baby, go do the work and get comfortable.
That is so true. I hadn't thought about it like that, but people really do get, what is that meme that says your light will irritate the demons in other people or something?
oh my Oh, that is, you know what? It's so funny you said that because I am like I social media a lot, right? Because we have this media branding that we do. And TikTok has this huge thing right now that a lot of black women are following each other. They call it the black girl follow train, right? And there's a lot of women that are not black are having a real huge problem with that. And when you said that, it hit me right then and there, like, oh, when we get comfortable in who we are. See, before we were
Ah,
caricature, we were this, we was that, we needed saving. But when we start getting to a place of empowerment, it I was like, oh my God, you just hit the nail on the head.
mhm.
Sylvia, that was like, wow. I did
That's
not
what.
realize.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
You
they don't
gotta
like.
get
Yeah,
comfortable.
you empowered. What?
What?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, when they telling you you should get along, you should do this, and then when you are getting along,
That yeah, it's scary. It's
When
scary.
y'all support each other, it's like, wait a minute, that don't feel right, girl. If you don't go get in that mirror and figure out who you really
yes,
are.
yes, yes. Oh my God, that was good. I love that.
And that's wonderful to see as well because I remember growing up and just feeling like that women did not like me. I remember you going through that too, Alanda. I don't know. I don't remember that in your conversation, Sylvia, but I do remember thinking that it was something wrong with me,
Mhm,
but I knew enough that I could not fit in with them. And then I started realizing that what it was is that I had grown up in this house with all these women. There were no men in my house growing up. They visited, but they didn't live there. And so the energy of women that didn't like you, you create a resistance. So your frequency, your vibration, your body is
Mm-hmm.
right. So I got to resist you. And so guess what? You now have a resistance barrier to everybody.
mhm,
Woman, that's a female, a woman. And we don't
Absolutely.
realize that, right? So it's like you think it's over there, but it really is your frequency that's saying, stay away from me. I don't trust you. I don't like you. Even though you be
Mm-hmm.
smiling and want people to like you and all this, like, no, you send it. So it takes work. It takes being able to see that that's a shadow, right? Until you see,
Yep.
oh,
Yep.
my shadow is that I am sending off an energy that says I don't like them. And of course, what are they going to pick up? I don't like you either. Words don't ever have to exchange,
That is so true.
Nope.
That is so
Nope.
true. Yep.
right?
Nope.
Yeah, so you have to, and this is why the whole conversation of self-love becomes important, because when you really begin to love yourself, you start to shed those energies from your childhood
Mm-hmm.
that you really did need to survive. We needed
Absolutely.
to have those, those conditionings to have us live, and even the stubbornness, even the defiance. We had to have that so that we could
Absolutely.
become ourselves. But now you get to an age, you have to let it go,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So
Oh
yeah,
my god, yes,
yeah.
yes. And I'm seeing, it's so interesting that you say that because out here where I live, there, you can tell the types of older people that some of these younger people have been around. So when you see someone, I guess say with me, and it's a small group of black people, right? We're like 4% of the whole place, right, in Dubuque, Iowa. And when most look at us, especially with me, their mothers were not the same as the mothers we are. So trying to come in from a place of I want to nurture, we're nurturing and caring. They've never seen I won't say never seen it, but nurturing and caring is something totally different than being a friend, right? So if you grew up with your mom and your dad and you were friends with them, and then you come across someone that wasn't, I won't say friends, you know what I mean when I say friends with your kids, right? Uh, not just you have a good relationship, us friend as in you all kicking it like you all both the same age, like you know what I mean. You're
Mhm.
not learning. You all are companions more so than anything else. So when I'm looking at and I'm thinking about this, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm trying to, how you try to get through to someone, but then as you said, I was resonating. My thing is, I'm not trying to be your mama. And I don't want to be your mama, not your friend. You know what I mean? I want to be an elder. And now I'm sitting here, it makes sense. It makes sense now. I
Yeah,
want to come. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, don't you ain't coming and teaching me nothing. I can see that. But at the same time, I wasn't, it's a lot of stuff is starting to
yeah, because
resonate.
we didn't like the elders growing. I was like, imagine if you,
Right.
right?
Like,
Hey,
how about
teach
this?
me something you didn't get. What did you get right?
Right.
You stay
Like,
over there.
right.
Stay over
Like,
there, because that whole conversation, I was one of those feisty people. Like, at
right.
9, I decided that adults were stupid, and I'm sorry, I did. That was a 9-year-old immature way of being. But I saw people making decisions as adults that didn't. Again, now I can see that Queen of Spade. Of course, could see that. Of course. But
Mm-hmm.
there was nobody around me to validate that ability to see that. You see that?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's good. But this goes to the next question then. So, what does it mean to have boundaries? This is what that whole thing,
Ooh.
right? Because we don't know about boundaries. What would you say, Sylvia?
Um, Especially when dealing with home or haven
Mm-hmm.
of the body and home, you have to have boundaries, right? Because this is your temple, this is your space, and if someone impedes on your energy, your space, who you are, then it can jack up your makeup, and now you're no longer comfortable in your skin. You're no longer able to be who you truly are and operate from higher self.
Mm-hmm.
So to have boundaries basically mean not allowing anyone to impede on who you are. And it's so many different areas for these possible boundaries, so that you can feel at home in yourself and not feel uncomfortable. Um, Part of it is just physical space. If you're out about doing something that somebody is too much in your physical space, step out. That's a boundary for me. Or
Yeah.
just knowing those things that you will accept and will not accept. Someone speaking to you in a way that you feel isn't comfortable for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to set the boundaries and either walk away or let that person know, I'm not going to accept you speaking to me like that, or I'm not going to accept you stepping over me. So to have boundaries is really about protecting yourself and your peace and who you are on all levels, whether that's monetary,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's your actual home space, inviting people in, whether that's your working space or co-working space. You have to be able to protect it. And once you understand how to protect it, then you can put those boundaries become real. But when you don't realize that it's something to truly protect, you don't set up boundaries. I'm one who have struggled with boundaries and allowing um people to come in too much, whether it's monetary wise, whether it's my time. You got to set boundaries on your time and
Mm-hmm.
understand your worth and your time, because that's a part of you and what you need to get back grounded so you can always have that homeostasis feeling, so you can always be at home and who you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, boundaries, I can probably go on forever because I struggled with those. But I'm so grateful that through my journey and my walk and my growth and a lot of master force have learned to like, hey, this is, this is far as I go. This
Yeah.
is far as I go on that train right there, or that's okay. I'm not going to ask that question, because if I ask that question, that's going to open up the door to you impeding on my boundaries. So that's okay. I don't need to know. All is well.
Yeah. I remember with people who've ever dealt with me know that one of my favorite phrases is, yeah, that's not good use of my time. And they be like, oh, not good. Yeah, I get to say what is use of my time. Right, Alanda? What would you add to
Yeah.
that? What about boundaries? What does it mean to have boundaries?
Oh my God, that's so because you say that I'm like, oh, really?
Right,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know people, you just selfish. Absolutely. You
Right. And you talk right. And that was one of the things I was gonna say. It's setting boundaries is being selfish. Like you are protecting who you are because if I don't, I won't even exist for you to even come. You know what I mean? And you
That's
can't
right.
come to me if I don't. I can't allow you to use all of this, and then there's nothing for myself. I would say clear communication. Let your yes be yes, no's be no. You
Mm,
know, you have to. The boundary is your clear communication, allowing, like you said, just not good use of my time, and stand on that. Be very steadfast in your decisions.
mm.
Don't waver. There are people that are persistent, that they hear you, but
Mm-hmm.
they hear you, but they reading that you really not sure about what you saying. So they
Oh,
gonna keep
yes.
coming back until you give in, because that your boundary is like a gate. Your
Mm.
gate could be, and you
It's
can put your
weak.
gate,
It's weak. That's right. They can tell when it's
Mm-hmm.
weak.
and it
Yep.
gets home when it's weak. So you
Mm,
have to really be clear. That goes back to grounding yourselves,
mm.
breathe in the center,
Yep.
making sure you good. You can make, you got to get all yourself together to even understand, and I say this in a way, and what Christians will understand when it says, put on the whole armor. When they say put on the whole armor, you got to do everything. You got to protect yourself, mind, body, soul, spirit, and
Mm.
you have to do it in a way that because there are going to be people that test you. And when I was sitting there thinking about it, you have to like honor yourself, because the honor system, because they teach us all the time about honoring others. Treat people the way you want to be treated. I'm going to treat you right, and I'm going to treat you the way I want to be treated, but I'm going to show you how I treat me.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. And when you look at that, that is the boundary. And some people don't like, right. Some people don't like boundaries. They want to be able to come in when they feel like it, because they feel they have their right. Even your own children, your own
Yeah.
children need that too. So that is one of the, you have to stand on it, because your children are probably the biggest testers. They the ones that
Oh my
definitely,
goodness.
they
Yeah.
prepare you for the real world.
Yeah. That's why we actually in the course do the whole section on assessments so that we can get to know ourselves. Know yourself so well that other people can't pull you in a direction you know is not for you.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
because we give out all, you know, and the reason that I have to set such strong boundaries is because I am a naturally generous person. I
Mm-hmm.
am, anybody know me like I'm just a giver. That's just who God made me to be, you know. What's the word? I forget, but you know. But anyway, the altruistic. That's the word,
Mm.
altruistic, right? So if you know that you're like that, you don't want everybody to be asking you. It's like, no, I'm a giver, that, but you can't take from me.
No,
Yes.
no.
There's a
Yeah,
difference.
that is.
And that's that area where when you get comfortable with yourself and you're feeling more at home and more connected to your higher self, where you can say, like Muth said, I don't see that being a good use of my time.
Mm-mm.
And
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
where other people have issues with you being comfortable with who you are.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's like, don't get mad because I recognize that that's not good for me. Like it just don't work for me. And it's okay. And
Yeah.
it's okay for you to find help in other areas as well. I might be able to direct you to somebody, but that's just not going to work for me.
Mhm.
So let's
And
go ahead and continue on that. How can we tell when people don't have boundaries?
self-discipline. I told you that. That's one of my self-discipline. I
Mm,
have to work on my self-discipline.
mm,
So my self-discipline shows I don't have boundaries, right? If I say I'm gonna, I'm doing this, and then you see me doing something else, that shows you. But you don't, you even you disobey or dishonor your own boundaries to yourself. So to me, how I see, it's like you see what people you hear what they say, but you see what they do, right? So how I can tell when people don't have boundaries just by how they uh interact with other people, and what they really don't feel like doing something, but they said yes anyway. But their actions
mm.
show when they have or have boundaries. Me and my husband just said it. We just talked about this earlier. We're like, you can tell when I had to tiptoe around people. You can tell when things are off. When you in somebody else's house, you stay with them, right? And
Mm.
they ready for you to go. They start being a certain way. They already violated their boundaries by not setting the ground rules when you first moved into the house with them.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's how you could tell.
Yep.
So when
Yep.
they start acting up, they didn't set the boundary. So therefore, now it's everybody's problem because they regret the decision that they made.
That's good. What were you saying, Sylvia?
For me, when I realize like, I could use me when I've not set up the proper boundaries, right? When I know that I've not set up boundaries, I get a feeling of regret, or
Ooh.
I feel some type of way about the situation, and it's because I didn't set up the proper boundary in the beginning. So now I'm mad or I'm agitated at the outcome, or I'm feeling some type of way, or it shoulda, coulda, woulda, did it
And you
like
blaming
this.
the other person or people.
Blaming the other person when all along, if you would have set up your boundary, you would have been good. They'd have did something else and you'd have been happy on your way
Mm-hmm.
and not feel like you wasted time or spent too much time. But I'm telling you, this boundaries thing is real because I done, I didn't know who I was at one point. There was so many people over the boundaries. Everybody was me, because so many people was over in my boundaries, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm feeling some type of way about this and some type of way about that. Let me pause, breathe the center, get that throat chakra going, and get to using these setting up these
That's
boundaries.
right. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Because I was irritated or bothered and annoyed and always had something to say about it. That's what I have. Like sometimes I'm talking to friends and constantly saying something about that right there. Constantly saying something. Why you still talking about that? You okay with that? Maybe you need to change that up a little bit, because if that's constantly annoying you or bothering you, there's something going on there. And sometimes it's because you're not setting up the boundary and you're allowing that to happen. And we forget that we have a choice. So if it's happening over and over and over, we're allowing it. So now let's choose not to do that. And
Yes.
and we can go into, I didn't even think of this before tonight. I'm thinking about Bree now because I know this is one of her areas. EFT, the uh
Yeah, tapping.
tapping,
Mm-hmm.
being able to understand, okay, let me do some tapping techniques so
Mm-hmm.
that I know,
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I can create boundaries,
Yeah.
I'm not a yes person. And then going into why you're not creating boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I wasn't creating boundaries because I had this whole codependency
Mm.
issue in which I denied for years. For years. When it first came up, I got the book and read what codependency was about and was like, you gotta be kidding me. Let me put that on the back of the bookshelf. That ain't me. Me. I am woman. What's all this
Okay.
me stuff going on? And not everybody close to me was a codependent relationship. I said, well, imagine that.
Wow.
Imagine that. And
Wow.
that's a part of the whole boundaries. And
Yeah.
when I became more comfortable with me and who I am and listening to higher self, I no longer need those outside resources.
Yeah.
I can come from self. So now I can set up those boundaries and be happy and be okay with me and trust who I am and what higher self is saying, and
Right.
be able to pull from these toolkits that we create as we begin to know ourselves. Okay, I need to listen to a little music right now so that it can move me, and I can get the
Mm-hmm.
frequency I need from those beats and those vibrations and those words of affirmation within those songs that's helping bring me back to who I am.
Yes.
But before that, it's like, whoa.
That's really great because what I could hear in that is that a lot of times we are inside of relationships and serving our friendships and families out of obligation and
Ashe.
not necessarily out of love.
Mm,
And because we have trained them to be used to us being like that, again, no boundaries, as soon as we say, nope, I'm not available, nope, I can't do that, the offense starts. Now they're offended, right? But they have to go through that, but it also gives them room also to know you need to set some boundaries too.
mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because if they're codependent with you, they're codependent other places too. So,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's someone said that Phaedra shared it took my 29-year-old daughter to set them regarding her and her family's household when I relocated back to Arizona. I had to accept I couldn't just pop up. That's right. And I
Yeah.
learned how
Ashe.
much that I loved her. It took a minute though. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ashe.
Oh
It's
yeah.
Absolutely.
like, yeah,
That's
you
good.
just that's right. You can't, and it gives us a chance, to own ourselves, to create our lives, to love ourselves in the way that,
Yes.
our children sometimes do teach us, like enough, yeah, I love you, but no, you know.
Your children teach you about the outside world. Or
Yeah.
before I mean, even if you go away to school, or you going to school, when you go through to school, you're learning your friendship, you're learning lessons. You're
Mhm.
not really learning the real world. When you go to work, your children are in the house with you. The people that's outside your house are not in the house with you,
Yes.
right? So they can't teach you anything. Your children are the first. We're their first teacher, but they're actually our first teacher.
Woo, baby.
They are our first teacher, so we have to unlearn the things that we were first taught, and
Mm.
it goes on and on. So it's a
Mhm.
cycle. So I totally honor when my children, like, I want to talk to them all the time, but when I realize that they don't, like, no, we ain't doing that. Like, I talk to you when I can. I'm like, okay, and I get in my feelings, but then at the same time, I have to understand that in this life we are two different things at two different times. We either a lesson or a
Yep.
blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And we have to understand and honor that we're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna make someone angry, or someone or make someone happy. It's not our responsibility to make to interpret for people how they're feeling, because that's their lesson on how they feel, or how they react. Now, if it's time for us to
Mhm.
apologize, absolutely, you can apologize. There's some things you do that you overreact or whatever, but the whole connecting and the boundaries and how that works, it's all like we're all here to we're connected. We're
Yeah,
connected.
we're connected, but we're not codependent.
Absolutely right.
Ashe.
We're not codependent at
Ashe.
all. Oh my goodness.
Right. And that's a whole nother, because my life will function well without you, and I want your
Mm-hmm.
life to function well without
Well,
me.
without me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Ashe.
yeah.
Ashe.
Absolutely. So
And
we
if it ever gets to a point where I can't function without you, it's time for some growing up to take place.
Absolutely. And this is what they were joking about with people that want to get into relationships when it start getting cold outside, homosexuals out there. And
Uh,
so when you say those things, that's
hobo,
codependency.
hobo.
Homosexuals. That is, and what it is, it's a codependency if you think about it, because I need somewhere to stay and you need companionship. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of my examples. That's a
I
broad
had
example.
never heard of that, but baby, it make all the sense in the
Think
world.
about it. Me, I
You
Hobo,
said
remember.
something earlier that got me. I'm like, did she just say
right? She hobo sex, and it makes
oh,
sense. Yeah, but come spring, you got to go.
Right. No, and not even that, they put
I
themselves
learned
out
something
there.
new today. I'm gonna jot that down.
Because they were, I'm telling you, I realized what it was going on. I was in that type of codependency relationship, right?
I
I was
say,
in that my
yeah.
first 17 years. And so when became like we was all good, and then come around March, then the arguments will start. And they start all they be off and on, right? And then I started realizing what's going on. They call it spring fever. It is time people want to disconnect because I had what I needed. I got padded up during this, I was nurtured, I was cared for. Now it's time for me to go in the street, and that's kind of what animals do too. But we ain't gonna call people animals. We're mammals, but pretty much it is if you think about it, and that's the boundary. So when you think, and I'm talking to someone out there, when you think about it, ladies, men, think about your like Sylvia said, your codependency. Are you so attached to a companion that you are willing to put this, you think you have boundaries, but then they get in there anyway, or you allow it to come in because you don't want to be alone, or and so yeah, we can have a whole different conversation about codependency, because that's a home. You're gonna let people that want to rob you, you're gonna let them just come live with you. You're
Oh,
gonna
we don't even think about it as robbing, though.
yeah, we
No,
don't.
no.
You're gonna let somebody want to come in and break into your house. They want what's in your house, but you're gonna let them come live with you because they need stuff. You know what I mean? And
And you also need something too, because
and
that's
you
what the
need
code.
something.
Yeah, you need
Right,
that companionship,
right,
that warmth.
right.
Yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So that's pretty much how
somebody
you
to take your garbage out because it's too cold to do it yourself.
somebody to
Yes,
start the
Lord.
fire up while getting ready for work, and they
Somebody to shovel the snow
somebody to shovel your snow.
outside.
No, let me tell you, it is. It really is. I can hear it now, right? Everybody be like, "Oh, I just, what happened was, he was just doing
What had happened was
Right,
handyman."
right. Saying letting I mean, and it's we laughing, but it's really
It's
I'm thinking
real.
about
I can see it. We've all been there. Like I can see it. Yeah, for real.
yeah. So that's part of
absolutely.
the boundaries, and people don't realize our relationships. We never, some of us, even though we were in a two-parent household, some of us may have been, but we have never seen a relationship. Just because
A
people live
true,
together,
authentic. We have
true
not seen
authentic,
true, authentic, loving, nurturing.
loving,
Many
nurturing,
of us have not. Many of us have not.
and those boundaries.
And
Those
yeah,
boundaries.
yeah. Yeah, and that probably is a very good topic to take on and dive into maybe on one of the podcasts
Mm-hmm.
later in the year because I think that sometimes we need to be more aware of how we give up ourselves to be safe. We'll let somebody else take care of us to feel safe when actually we need to feel safe within ourselves. We need to be at home in
I
ourselves
say,
and do with that, and that's
Yes,
hard work. That's hard
yes,
work.
that is.
But what are some of the daily rituals that we can use to keep ourselves grounded. So, so that, we don't get caught up in, some of the things we talked about, like, over taking care of people, codependency, people coming to live with us and we know good and well we don't need nobody living with us. What are some rituals that we can say? And I also want us to say, what does being grounded mean?
Oh, uh,
How
being
do you know when you're grounded?
grounded, I think to put it in a term that everyone can understand, being grounded is standing on your word, that boundary thing. Being grounded is that I'm safe, I'm secure. Nothing can disrupt my peace. So grounded in I am good no matter what. It could be all types of hell breaking loose around me, but I'm grounded to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Mm.
I don't have to save anybody today. I'm not going to
Mm.
say I can see somebody doing something and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going unless I'm led to help them. That's grounding. Grounding is to know that with all your heart that you can keep going and there's nothing else. You know what I mean? I can stay in who I am. I can be who I am with no judgment. Like we opened up with that. I can be who I am and judge or not. I'm okay. I'm good with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how much of me can I give today? Like you said, being generous. That's grounding. Grounded is when you are okay with your choices and when you open up your day. I'm okay with my choice. And then if you go home and journal at the end of the night, that's what I do. My grounding is if I made a mistake, I'm going to keep walking with, you know what? I made a mistake. I did something. I'm not going to beat myself up on it. But what I'm going to do when I journal tonight, I'm going to learn from it. So grounding is from from the morning time you wake up to when you go to bed, and that's to me, that's what grounding is to me.
And
And the
so then,
ritual
so the ritual, one of your rituals is journaling.
journal.
What would be your morning ritual to get you going?
My morning ritual would be meditating
Mm-hmm.
before I touch any type of device
Mm-hmm.
because devices are very easy to grab. But I get up, I'm meditate.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I have a book, now if I get up and want to go read, I'll go read. When I used to go to work, I used to do like an hour before I actually got ready. I went and did things. I read, I write, I meditate, I take the dog out. I walk,
Mm-hmm.
I just get my mind, body, for one, I tell people all the time, I'm trying to working back my age, right?
Yep.
So
That's
I'm
right.
like a 1969 Chevy. I got to warm up in the morning.
Right.
I gotta warm up. So it takes me time to warm up. So my morning ritual, one of them is I'm meditating. I am planning out whatever comes to me. Because I have a dreams. I also dream. I have a lot of crazy dreams. So I get up in the morning. First, I write those down, and then I process them and
Ashay.
and then I meditate, and
Mm.
that's whatever. Yeah.
Getting the message. What
Yep.
about you, Sylvia? Some of the other rituals that you do?
I just have to add, Alanda, you said you're a 1969.
Yeah.
I'm a couple years before you because before I even start meditating, I lay when I first wake up, I wake my eyes and it's like, okay, I just gotta lay here. And of course, my first thoughts are I'm thankful. So it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because I do like a little thankful prayers when I
Gratitude.
first wake
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
like wiggling my toes. Thank you for my toes. Thank you for my limbs. Thank you for this breath. Oh, thank you for my eyesight. Then, I get up and go to the bathroom. Then I come back and then I will do my breathe essential to go into meditating because even before I can meditate, it's like, okay, right now, all I can think about is what I'm thankful for. I can't think much further than that right now. I need some time to get into the day.
Mm-hmm.
And once I get into it, then I can go into my meditation. I also like to like burn sage and things of that nature. That's a part of my ritual. Just the way that it smells and its properties and its spiritual properties. I absolutely love to do that as well. Affirmations, I have affirmations in my bathroom in the morning when I brush my teeth. When I choose to love, I choose not to uh to use hate. There's certain things that I do first thing in the morning that I'm looking at just to remind me that goes on throughout the day with me.
Mm,
Um, Other things you can do throughout the day, part of the Mark technique, visualization. It's
mm,
real. Visualize your higher self, visualize who you
mm,
choose and want to be, so that when you're in these different chaotic situations, you can go to that memory of visualization and say, this is who I am. I am she. That's who I choose to be. So being able to use those different things throughout today. And again, for me, music is huge. I would throw in some
Mhm.
music in the car in a minute, or just put my earphones on, like, okay, let me bring it back in.
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
Oh
Here,
yeah.
Bree offered. She said she starts coming into her body before getting out of the bed as well by breathing to center, and
Ashe.
acknowledging her person and reciting any mantras and affirmations. Yeah, that's a
Mm.
good way of doing it. You know, I my mentor is Dr. Happy, so I have to do a whole breathing regimen before I get out of the bed. So I meditate first though, because I know when I start that breathing regimen, there's some other things that I have to do. One of my other mentors, Diane, has me shaking my legs. I mean, it's it's so funny, right? Because the other day, I said, let me time this thing because it seemed like it takes me a long time to get out of bed. And really, it still didn't take 12 minutes. It just seemed like it, right? Because it was all these things. And but Sylvia, I go to the bathroom first too, like at 5 a.m. Right? I do the 5 a.m. because I know I'm not ready to get up at 5 a.m. But I'll go to the bathroom, come back. But then, baby, I turn on me some jazz and
Mm,
I light my candles and my incense and I take care of my plants. And that's kind of like how, like most people, I work from home. So, I get that done before I put my clothes on. So I'm getting that space. My space is what
Ashe.
grounds me. We
Yes.
did a
Yes.
conversation, a feng shui conversation, Brie and I did on Monday. And that's real. It's like that space when your energy in your home is set for you and holding your space, holding your energy, it feels like
Yes.
home.
Hmm. You
You know,
know who's you know who what's a prime example, and I know people look at it as being like the whatever of society. Homeless people.
mm?
Think about homeless people. They can be home anywhere. When you look
Oh
at look,
yes, yes,
they're home. They make up their little space, and then if they have to pick up and
baby.
move, they pick up and move.
Get they
And
card? Come on. Mm,
right. So if
Right.
they can create in their homelessness, they can create home everywhere they go. And
wherever.
I don't and I'm not trying to make it sound, like put light on it, but I want it to be that when I actually thought about that when we talked about this, Rita, when I thought about it, I remember I was seeing someone that day. I came home and someone was in the park. And I mean, they were sleeping in the park unbothered, like
Yeah,
unbothered.
yeah,
They weren't bothered. They don't care what was going on. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh my God, they can be anywhere and be home.
yeah,
You could be anywhere and go home. You could be home anywhere. And so you have to that's part of all of this what we're talking about this whole week. You can do this anywhere.
yeah,
If life just get disrupted, you can be home anywhere and you can be comfortable where you are anywhere, because this goes back to being your authentic self and all of that. So that was like when I didn't even realize that when I saw them, I'm like, oh, they're not even bothered.
Well, that was why you remember my first book, Patiently Waiting for Nothing. My hero in the book was Miss Helen, a homeless woman.
Yes.
Because I said, who in our society is actually disconnected from the chaos and can be a hero?
That's
Homeless
right.
people too, yeah, are heroes. Because in my time of being homeless, it was a choice to be homeless because there was no place I felt safe. I felt
Mhm.
safe being homeless,
Yeah.
and I've met many homeless people that feel like that. Yeah, I'd rather be out here than to deal with people's authority and asinine way of being, and because you're not safe in there anyway. So,
Yes.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
Oh, that's good. Yep.
and let me say what Bria said. The bathroom practice has been a tremendous. Huh? Oh, I don't
The
know.
feng shui, closing
The
the
feng
bathroom
shui.
door.
Oh, closing the
Is that
door
it? Yeah. And
and making sure that the toilet seat is down.
Yes.
Yes, close your toilet seat, and depending on the position, close the door. That's right. Because
Mhm.
otherwise, you're flushing your energy down the toilet.
Mm.
That's right.
Yeah.
absolutely. I've been running through here closing bathroom doors and looking ever since what was that, Monday?
Monday, yes. It's because it's a real process, and it really does work, you know. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that people pick that up. And I saw a person on the street someplace or at an event I went to, and they said, "Girl, listen, I can't get myself together the way you all were talking about, but I have one space that I'm working on, but I keep my toilet seat down."
Yeah. That's funny because we've been doing it. And like I think I've been doing it because you started
Long
because I
time ago. That, oh yeah, that's yeah.
yeah, and so closing it, and I met someone that don't even do this work, and they told me that, and they say, well, yeah, you're supposed to close the toilet seat. And he
Mhm.
said it's part of it's part of what you're supposed to do. That's what he said.
Well,
That's
and
what you're supposed
also,
to do.
that's right. It keeps fecal matter from spreading your bathroom. Close before you flush.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
You
I
know, it
think he was
keeps
talking about what the old people say. He was
yeah,
like the
it's
old
more sanitary. That's
yeah.
right.
He said the old people taught you that. Don't you know? Don't you know you're supposed to close your toilet because it keep things out. I'm like, okay, keep things out. Keep things in. Keep things out. I don't understand, but okay.
That's right. Whatever you say. That's right. So I know that we've talked about Bach flower, but let's talk a little bit more about it. Is Bach flower a good source to help us to feel at home?
Shay,
um,
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Ashe. I think so. I absolutely agree that it is a source to help us feel at home because um what is it that you're feeling? Sometimes you're anxious about things, or
Hmm.
sometimes you're feeling outside of yourself, and there's different remedies within Bach flower to
Yeah.
help you manage those emotions and those feelings, because that's what it is a feeling. So I absolutely agree that Bach flower remedy can be a preventative as well as a, like, at the point of that feeling. You know how we said earlier with preventative medicine, it could definitely be a preventative medicine, but it
Hmm.
can be a remedy for that out of body experience or away from home or not feeling so homey experience you're having at that time, based on basically what emotion you're feeling.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really good because it's only 38 Bach flower remedies.
Hmm.
And what I love about Bach flower is that, our creator has created everything. It's the source of a flower,
Yes.
right? I mean, a
Yep.
flower
Yep. Yep.
literally can make a huge difference. I've been using this in my practice for well over 30 years with many clients. And people are like, wow, I didn't realize until, yes.
Every time somebody fall in our house, go get the rescue remedy. I'm like, really? But it worked.
It,
Like we were like, yeah, whatever. Like, okay, go Auntie Rita using her stuff. But guess who was called her? And like, where did we get that rescue remedy from?
yeah, and what do I need for this? And what,
Or what
you
do I
know,
need? Absolutely. I have agrimony. Agrimony is what is my go-to because
Ashe.
that's what when we years ago you told me where to go. I went and got some agrimony, and that has helped me tremendously,
yeah,
right?
yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. 'Cause
Especially when you have a broken heart, when you're
Mhm.
angry, when
Yeah.
you're separating from
Yeah.
somebody, agrimony is the go-to. And then when you're really pissed off, like you want to go get that hammer, pine, Aretha.
You know what?
Yeah.
Guess what? And I had pine. I guess what? I had pine. I had
But you
pine.
got to take it. You
I
can't
know.
just keep it on the.
I walked right past. That's right. I
Right.
walked right past. I walked right past my altar. I wasn't paying attention to none of that because I was gonna go. I was about it. Dog was like, no, we're not. No, no, we ain't going that way.
Thank
But
you. Thank you, Father, because the pets will save your life sometime. What were you
yeah,
saying, Sylvia?
No, just in agreement. Just in agreement. I've got large.
Yep.
Uh,
yes.
Confidence. That's right.
Mhm.
absolutely, definitely need large. I got hornbeam because God, oh, the way that procrastination had been set up in my life. Um, definitely with the hornbeam. I think I also have like three more. I want to go. I plan to get them all. I did the whole class for because they really are powerful. Like Moot said, like the Creator has given us what we need. Everything we need comes from the earth.
That's right.
Mhm.
If we just
Absolutely.
take the time and
And
allow
learn
that.
about it. Exactly.
Yeah, and learn about it. It's just learning about it and knowing what was already here was here for us. Now, what we done concocted and put together outside of that, that's on us. And God knows we're reaping those. I don't know if we want to call them benefits, but we're reaping it. We're reaping what we sowed with creating what we want to create.
Absolutely.
But everything was already here, and to be
Yes.
able to go and pull this flower essence and say, hey, this flower essence is going to help me treat this and treat that and give me like the emotion and the feeling and what I need in order to be my higher self and move forward. It's like
Mhm.
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
But guys, we're at the right. You see how quick this goes. I tell people, yes, we're down to the last few minutes of the show, and I just want to ask: do you have any reference materials that people can use where they can gain more insight in creating haven and body and home? Is there any recommended readings that you may have or suggestions?
Oh my goodness. Louise Hay is my go-to. I just do Louise Hay.
Mm,
And I Louise Hay books and Abraham Hicks. Those are my two go-tos as far as like home as a haven.
mm,
They definitely help me get back into myself and understand and sort things out. So I would say start with those two just
okay,
because it's very simple, right? It's very simple and easy to
Mhm.
follow. Easy to follow.
right. What about you, Sylvia? What would you recommend?
Definitely Louise Hayes, The Power is Within or The Power Within.
Mm-hmm.
One of the books that helped me not be so judgmental of others and myself as well to help me accept myself more is Carol Dweck, The Growth Mindset.
Okay.
Mhm.
And it seems like it could be a bit off topic, but the more you get into it, the more you realize that having a growth mindset is really about allowing people to be who they are, and if that's what they have and that's their best, then it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And often we're not comfortable with who we are
Mhm.
because we're judging others. So
Mm.
it's like I'm judging you because I feel this way about me. So just being able to accept people where they are. And there was one more, Brene Brown,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know,
I love Renee.
Me
I
oh
too.
love
my God,
her.
any Brene Brown book, like I'm like any of them.
Yeah.
Like she is absolutely amazing. The authenticity, like she talks so much about authenticity and being able to be your authentic self. And once you can be your authentic self, then it's so much easier to to just be in general and be comfortable in your skin and with who you are.
Yes. I love all of her work. Mm-hmm.
All of Brene Brown's work. Like she's yeah, I got introduced to her some years ago and she's helped me like tremendously.
Yes. Now, do either of you have any events or engagements going on or coming up that people can participate in?
I would say in January, I haven't set the date yet. I would have my online workshop that I've always done, the Power to Dream,
Okay.
and it would be a shortened version of my. It's very extensive, but it'd be a shortened version. Empower your dreams, and basically it's step by step of like we're using the Marv technique. and visualization.
Mm.
And it basically is reprogramming your thinking. And so to even get into the conversation as home as your haven, I would suggest that this would be a good start because you have to reprogram your thinking. Because just like we said earlier about unlearning what you grew up with, who your first teachers, how do you, it's good, bad. How can you take the good from that, your experiences, and move past to even keep evolving in who you are. So that'll be coming up in January. You can go to my website soon. It's not going to be updated after the first of the year. It's alandagregory.com.
Cool. What about you, Sylvia?
I currently do not have any events coming up. I would say be on the lookout.
Okay.
Myself and another Master Force life coach have some things in the works for a women's healing retreat. So,
Wonderful.
um, absolutely.
Cool. Now, do you have any final comments for our audience tonight before we actually time out about home in the body and I mean haven and body and home?
I would just say one of the first things that came to my mind with this topic, even when me and Alanda spoke the first time, is understanding that our bodies is our first home, right?
Hmm.
That's we're spirit, then we come to this body, and that's who we are. So just remembering that you have everything you need within. You
Hmm.
know, go to your higher self, get what you need so that you are comfortable in this body that you chose, because you chose it for a reason, and accept the lessons and accept the blessings, you know, from it, from being here and understanding and knowing your higher self. So just go within, know your higher self and ground.
Yeah, that's deep. Go within. What about you, Amanda? What do
I
you
would
have?
I would agree. I agree with Sylvia. One thing I would say this because a lot of people go into the whole what's going on in the world and all of that. Your haven is who you are, as Sylvia said, but your money and your happiness and success, none of that is outside of you. It's inside of you. Your inner is your outer. So you can create whatever space you want outside of you. You want more money, you want think more money. You want a bigger house, think a bigger house. You want to live your best life, you want a mate, you don't have a mate and you want a new mate or whatever the conversation is. You can see yourself having what you want by in your house. Like if you want to redecorate your house, that's what your body is. You want to redecorate? Okay, just time to redecorate. See your home see your body as your home, because like I said, you won't let people come into your house and rearrange it. So why would you let people live inside your head empty free? I mean empty free, empty in your empty. Why would you let people come in your house and your head and live rent free? Right? So getting away from the conversations, you're not good enough. And that's part, like I said, when I talk about reprogramming your thinking,
Yeah,
live inside, be who you are, and whatever you want on the outside of you, know it can be created from the inside out.
wonderful. Well, I
Yes.
want to thank you, Alanda and Sylvia, for engaging this conversation tonight. And I also want to thank all of the coaches, starting with Osir Aten and Tanisha Legault, uh, Bree Randolph, and then we had Dr. Tammy and Samir, Teresa Lugo, and Mother Mecca. It has been an absolutely wonderful,
Right.
very insightful week. All
Oh,
of the replays can be found on YouTube on our channel, Ignite Your Soul Connection. So be sure to look for it. I can't say
Dr. Marlene.
enough about how great it is that you guys are willing, to actually, oh, yes, that's right. And then there was also the conversation of facets of communications. We had Dr. Marlene and Keisha. So, we are really just so blessed that we have everything that we need. So I want to invite you all to really be inspired by this work. Nobody pays us to do this. We're not even asking people to pay us. We're living inside of our mission, inside of being true to who we are and doing the work that our Creator sent us here to do. So, you know, join us in the spring. Not sure what that topic will be. Shout out again to our producers. We had Keisha Nicole producing. We had Tabrisha, Bree Randolph producing. And then in the background, we have Marshawn Frencha.
Thank
So
you.
it has been wonderful. And I'm just overjoyed and grateful that we can do this.
And I want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this. Oh, and I am coach of the year for Master Force.
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to say that, put that out there because I'm her niece, but she did not give it to me for 10 years.
Oh, but yeah,
And she didn't give it to you this year. You earned
you
it. You
earned it.
got it.
So I just want you all to know she's not just passing them out. You have to earn it. Okay. Just letting you know that.
Right.
It's an initiation. So just put it out there. Thank you again. Thank you all so much. Thank you for this platform. Thank you, Sylvia. It's been great. Really. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Auntie.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys. I appreciate you. We're gonna go ahead and say good night to the people. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you for listening to season 15 of Ignite Your Soul Connection Winter Solstice 2022 Home as a Haven. During this season, we invite you to take time to ground yourself in the goodness of your own soul. Silence, solitude, meditation, journaling, walks in nature are all wonderful ways to do this. And you will be glad that you did. See you next time. Thank you.